10 million people. Gone. Not from a plague, not from a natural disaster, from one man's greed. And the worst part? The world let it happen. For decades, they not only let it happen, they celebrated the man responsible as a hero. This is the story of King Leopold II of Belgium, and what he did in the Congo is one of the most horrifying chapters in all of human history. The year is 1884. European powers are carving up Africa like it is a dinner table. Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, all scrambling for land, resources, and power. But Leopold is different. He is not representing Belgium. He is not acting on behalf of any government. He wants Africa for himself. Leopold goes to the Berlin Conference, the meeting where European leaders literally drew lines on a map and divided an entire continent. And he pulls off one of the greatest cons in history. He tells the world he wants to help the Congolese people. He calls himself a humanitarian. He promises to bring civilization, free trade, and education to the so-called dark heart of Africa. The world believes him. In 1885, Leopold is handed personal ownership of a territory 76 times the size of Belgium. He names it the Congo Free State. Free. That word will become the cruelest joke in history. Here is what no one outside the Congo knew yet. Leopold never set foot in the Congo. Not once. Not ever. He ran his empire from his palace in Brussels. He threw lavish parties, he built monuments, he funded architectural projects across Belgium. All of it paid for in blood. The Congo was rich, extraordinarily rich. Rubber, ivory, minerals. At the time, rubber was exploding in demand. Bicycles, early automobiles, industrial machinery. The world needed rubber, and the Congo had it in abundance. Leopold saw an opportunity. He set up a system of forced labor so brutal it shocked even hardened colonial administrators. Every Congolese village was given a rubber quota, a fixed amount they had to deliver to Leopold's agents every single week. If they failed to meet the quota, they were punished. And the punishment was not a fine, it was not imprisonment. Leopold's private army, called the Force Publique, would raid villages. They burned homes. They took women and children hostage until the men returned with enough rubber. And when they wanted proof that their bullets were not being wasted, they ordered their soldiers to bring back the severed hands of anyone who did not comply. Hands, cut from living people, cut from children, cut from the dead. Soldiers were required to present a hand for every bullet fired. So when they missed a shot or used a bullet to hunt for food, they would cut the hand off a living villager to make up the count. Baskets of human hands became a form of currency in Leopold's Congo. Let that sink in. Historians estimate that between 1885 and 1908, the population of the Congo dropped by somewhere between 8 and 10 million people. 8 to 10 million. Some died from direct murder, executions, mutilations. But millions more died from starvation because entire communities were forced to spend every waking hour collecting rubber instead of growing food. Millions died from disease as their immune systems collapsed under the weight of exhaustion and violence. Entire villages were wiped off the map. Entire ethnic groups reduced to fragments. Leopold was smart. He did not call it what it was. He called it development. He called it a civilizing mission. He funded newspapers, he hired lobbyists, he paid for favorable coverage across Europe and America. For years, the truth stayed buried. But then came E.D. Morel. A young British shipping clerk noticed something strange about the cargo ships coming and going from the Congo. Ships going in were loaded with guns and ammunition. Ships coming out were loaded with rubber and ivory. There was no trade happening. There was only extraction. Morel went public. He started writing. He organized one of the first major international human rights campaigns in history. And then came Roger Casement, a British consul who traveled deep into the Congo and documented what he saw. Photographs, eyewitness testimony, pages and pages of evidence. Children with missing hands, mothers describing what happened to their families, communities living in absolute terror. The reports reached the world, and the world was horrified. Here is the part that will make your blood run cold. When Leopold was finally forced to give up the Congo in 1908, after international pressure became too much to ignore, he did not face a war crimes tribunal. He did not go to prison. He wasn't even formally condemned by his own government. He handed the Congo over to the Belgian state, collected a massive financial settlement, and died 2 years later, in his palace, surrounded by luxury, at the age of 74. He left behind a Belgium full of beautiful buildings, parks, and museums, all of it built with Congolese blood. And for decades, he was remembered as a great king. Statues of Leopold stood across Belgium for over a century. Some of them weren't removed until 2020. What Leopold built in the Congo did not disappear when he left. Belgium took over, and while the worst atrocities slowed, the exploitation continued for another 50 years. The Congo was finally granted independence in 1960. But the country that emerged had been systematically stripped of everything. Its resources had been looted for decades, its people had been denied education and political power. Its infrastructure existed only to serve extraction, not its own citizens. The man elected as the Congo's first prime minister was Patrice Lumumba, a visionary leader who wanted genuine independence and sovereignty. He was assassinated within months, with the involvement of foreign governments. The cycle of exploitation didn't end. It just changed its face. Today, the Democratic Republic of Congo remains one of the wealthiest countries in the world in terms of natural resources, cobalt, coltan, gold, diamonds, and one of the poorest in terms of human development. The echoes of Leopold's empire are still shaking. Leopold II never fired a single gun. He never stepped into the jungle. He never looked a single Congolese person in the eye. And yet, through paperwork, policy, and greed, he engineered the deaths of millions. History books spent decades barely mentioning his name. That's not an accident. The people who write history often protect the powerful. But the truth has a way of surviving. 10 million people deserved better. They deserved the world to know their names, their villages, their stories. Knowing this history is not just about the past. It's about understanding why the world looks the way it does today, and who paid the price to build it.